Late night apartment. Your phone glows alone on the table again. She said, "It's fine. Do whatever." Then her voice went dark. You rush to fix it. Thumb dragging across glass, heart tight. You pour out another apology to stop the silence. Enforce. You think she's punishing you for some invisible offense. You think peace is safety, so you pay with self-respect. In this attention economy, your response windows scream, obedient surrender. Every double text and late-night paragraph tells her where your boundaries fall. Mirror. Nietzsche would say you bow to comfort rather than to growth. Most men do. It keeps them soft, predictable, and easy to move. You call it love, but you mainly avoid the threat of conflict. Meanwhile, she watches how quickly you fold in messages and arguments. You trade masculine sovereignty for the hope she will never leave. Choose. Dating dynamics shift when your calendar opens anytime she feels bored. You cancel training, delay work, and let sleep die for late-night calls. You treat her wishes as laws, not rules you live by. Her tests are simple. Will you hold the line or fold? Standard. You mistake her silence for cruelty, not a mirror for addiction. You mistake your panic for love, not scarcity, choking your spine. Please write down the last time she went cold while you over-explained. Circle the exact moment you reached for comfort instead of truth. Enforce. Nietzsche walks beside you in this dim digital corridor. Quiet. He is not judging your feelings. He is only judging your real choices. He watches how your response windows trade discomfort for peace with her. He calls one version of you a comfort man outright. Throne. Comfort man lives by moods, loses fear, and her shifting approval alone. You often let dating dynamics dictate how you spend your evenings. You move when she is angry, freeze when she goes quiet inside. Your rules of life change with every spike of anxiety around. Mirror. Boundary man is different. He lives by inner command only. Nietzsche would call that will to power in plain clothes here. He keeps a short list of rules for living in an attention economy. He risks tension to protect boundaries around time, body, and precious money. Standard. You treat her approval as the prize that must always be guarded. Nietzsche treats your standard as the only real prize here anyway. In the attention economy, she reads your response windows like scripture daily. Late-night replies, constant scrolling, endless apologies advertise hidden scarcity everywhere. Chess. She studies small moves more closely than your big declarations about masculinity. How you handle cancellations, lateness, and social proof on her feed daily. Whether you reschedule your training or guard it like a thrown stone. Dating dynamics show her that if your mission moves when she frowns once, it's time to move on. Sovereignty. Nietzsche once walked away from a stable academic life, entirely alone. Comfort urged him to stay. His higher self resisted that pull. You stay in dating dynamics, where aloneness feels like death sometimes. He left security to protect alignment with an inner standard firm. Forge. You think boundaries exist to control her, to box her in completely. They exist, so you stop being owned by comfort and panic. List 3 places you hold when pressure in dating hits. Work, body, friendships. Write the rules you live by clearly. Walk. Nietzsche watches you treat every minor disagreement like Judgment Day. He sees how quickly guilt rises when she withdraws attention. In this attention economy, your thumbs sprint to repair fragile peace. You trade boundaries for comfort and call it maturity. Nietzsche described weak spirits controlling others through moral pressure. In dating dynamics, you let her control you with your guilt. You think she is power-hungry, but you hand her the throne. Each apology proves you fear loneliness more than self-respect. A message lands. A man would do more for me. You laugh on the surface. Your chest tightens under the line. You fold, you spend, you cancel, then stew in resentment. Dating dynamics warp, not because she changed, but because you collapsed. Nietzsche would call this resentment, weakness, dressed as virtue. You pretend you sacrificed for love, yet secretly keep score each night. You say she manipulates, but you built the house she walks through. Your own scarcity writes the script, and her social proof reads it. Look at how you text after a conflict, how long you over-explain. Paragraphs instead of sentences, emojis as tribute for imagined crimes. You convert your attention economy into payment, begging her reassurance. Every wall of blue bubbles tells her exactly where leverage lives. Silence becomes her tool when she wants the frame back. She tracks your response windows, knows how before panic hits. Mentions of better men online heat the forge under your feet. You rush to outperform ghosts, proving you will outbid any rival. In these dating dynamics, masculine sovereignty is not stolen, it is offered. You carry the throne across the room and place it before her. You kneel inside your own life, then resent her for sitting. You choose peace over the rules you live by, blame her for ruling. Find the pattern that folds you, her sigh, silence, her distance. Write it as, the lever I gave her, nothing softer. Notice how often dating dynamics obey that lever, not your values. Once you see the lever, choose who you will be without it. Nietzsche stands beside you, in front of the mirror nearby. He does not care what she did, only what you kept. He rejected the innocent victim. Patterns expose your choices. In these dating dynamics, the reflection is always your own. She cancels again, arrives when she wants, and leaves early. You swallow it. Pretend boundaries are negotiable when you care. You call it mixed signals, but your silence is the loudest. You think she is the storm. You refuse to build shelter. Nietzsche would say you remain where your soul consents. A man who stays where respect dies is choosing to be quiet. You label it fate, chemistry, or fear of scarcity in love. Yet every unanswered standard is another move you made. Look at your response windows when she pulls her attention away. Instant replies, long explanations, scrolling for social proof on her page. Your phone becomes a mirror of what you worship most. Not mission, not rest, but the relief of not losing her. You complain that she tests you, pushes, pokes, and checks your frame. You forget that tests keep returning where they never meet resistance. You train her to expect no consequences for crossing your boundaries. You are still the one moving pieces on this chessboard. You think she is cruel for staying, while disrespect grows. You stay too, because leaving forces a harder mirror. Masculine sovereignty begins the moment you admit you volunteered. You chose peace over rules you live by, again and again. Choose one test that keeps bringing up jealousy, flakiness, and disrespect. Write, I keep volunteering by doing nuntanteng when it happens. Fill the blank without excuses. Let the sentence sting. When you own that line, you can raise your standard. Notice how your choices keep arranging the same cruel scene. Same jealousy, same lateness, same disrespect circling your evenings. In this attention economy, patterns repeat until you change position. You are not cursed. You are invited to choose standard. Nietzsche saw life as forces colliding, not cushions. What grows reaches for resistance, not padded safety online. You feel safest when nobody is upset with you. She feels less attracted when you never risk friction. Forge. In this attention economy, validation flows like tap water. You hand out compliments, hearts, and emojis on every post. You reply in seconds, response windows perfectly obedient. You think you are kind. She feels only gravity, throne. Nietzsche would ask you to study your own desire. You lose interest when someone never disagrees or pushes back. You drift toward people who have edges, not warmth. Her body listens when you erase your edges. Mirror. Nietzsche would say your energy lost its edge entirely. Life force becomes background noise when you avoid conflict. You mistake compliance for kindness and boundaries for loss. She tests, nudges, and disagrees to feel a real contour. Standard. Watch two men in the same dating dynamics unfold. One nods, agrees, and reshapes himself to avoid argument. The other listens, says, "No, that won't work." Her attention, respect, and desire drift toward the second. Choose. You think saying no will drive her away completely. Often it is the proof that you exist distinctly. Masculine sovereignty is the capacity to disappoint with clarity. You stop trading your throne for another hit of reassurance. Enforce. Scroll through your chats and notice where you oversmoothed conflict. See the jokes you used to dodge tension. In these dating dynamics, comfort becomes your brand, not your backbone. She reads the pattern and files you under dependable background. Forge. Look at your patterns when plans collide with your mission. Do you cancel training, sleep, or deep work whenever she calls? These dating dynamics teach her that your life is negotiable. Energy without boundaries feels like air conditioning humming behind glass. Mirror. Write the belief that says, "If she is upset, I failed." Cross it out hard. Keep the page where you prepared. You are choosing between staying nice and staying alive inside. Once you understand that desire follows strength, not comfort, you can face cost. Mirror. Nietzsche knew the higher type walks apart from the herd. He understood that choosing boundaries means choosing misunderstanding and distance. You imagined masculine sovereignty would make you admired, desired, and applauded. Instead, your quiet standards confuse a crowd trained by the attention economy. You say no to last-minute plans that crush your sleep. She calls you selfish, distant, and different from men who adjust. Your phone lights up less. Response windows stretch into empty gaps. In these dating dynamics, silence feels heavier than any argument did. Nietzsche spent years unseen, mocked, unchosen by the comfortable minds. He stayed with his work, while the herd chased approval nearby. You feel similar when group chats thin after you enforce boundaries. Without pings, the attention economy stops flattering you, and withdrawal stings. You think losing her means failure, proof you misplayed the game. Nietzsche would call it a necessary sacrifice in a chess match. Fewer dates appear. Your calendar opens like a stripped board. These dating dynamics shrink options as your masculine sovereignty quietly hardens. Mockery arrives as jokes, comments that you are too rigid. Friends say she will soon leave you for someone more flexible. Screenshots travel through group chats as social proof of your change. Nietzsche would see a herd defending comfort rather than delivering truth or boundaries. Nights alone stretch out, and the room feels wider, colder. You think being alone proves you are unwanted, fundamentally lacking. It may prove that you stopped selling yourself cheaply in dating dynamics. Without constant messages, The attention economy no longer numbs you against that. You thought boundaries existed to keep her from leaving you. They exist to prove you will not leave yourself instead. Masculine sovereignty costs comfort, social glow, and dating dynamics full of surplus. Right, if I enforce this boundary, I might lose. Sit. Nietzsche's higher type accepts solitude as the forge of becoming. You stop begging the herd for warmth in the attention economy. When you stop fearing this descent, you can choose that path. The path of a man who governs his own life entirely. Enforce. Nietzsche treats you as unfinished in this attention economy. He imagines you as a cold stone on the sculptor's floor. Pieces must be cut away before any sovereignty appears. You are no longer hunting for comfort. You are shaping boundaries. Throne. Start with time, the calendar that never lies to you. In this attention economy, your schedule reveals your worship. If dating dynamics erase sleep, training, and deep work each week, masculine sovereignty begins when your calendar protects non-negotiable mission blocks. You are ruled by reaction, not the rules you live by. Mirror. Nietzsche would have you build from the ground up. Choose a mission that outranks any romance on paper. Then build your week around that mission like a ritual. Dating dynamics must orbit it, not drag it around. Throne. Look at your response windows when she texts or calls. You drop everything, treating every ping as an emergency. Masculine sovereignty means some blocks of time are untouchable. Dating dynamics shift when you refuse to worship every notification. Even when she wants you, you finish the set. Forge. Define disrespect before you feel it burning in your chest. Late arrivals, insults, disappearing for days, jokes that cut. Write them down once, then pre-choose one response for each. When it happens, you act on the plan, not the panic. Chess. You think sovereignty is a feeling that arrives one morning. It is built from dull, repeated choices under pressure. You think boundaries are ideas you explain in lengthy talks. They become real only when behavior and calendar change. Standard. Now choose one boundary for the next 72 hours. Sleep time, gym block, deep work, or no phone after. Tell her, without threat, that this time is fixed. Then hold it when the message hits and pulse spikes. You are building a life where she can't move by mood. She can approach the throne, but not rearrange the room. Once your life is ruled by the rules you live by, tests change. In this attention economy, that structure becomes your signal. You finally see her push as information, not attacks. Walk. Nietzsche's idea of loving fate meets you here, quietly now. He invites you to stop fighting the world you chose. Her tests in dating dynamics move like changing weather systems. Your boundaries and missions stand like a fortress of stone. In this attention economy, storms are louder than seasons of thought. Advice feeds, comparison, and fear whip her emotions around online. Dating dynamics amplify tiny doubts into waves of behavior everywhere. You think she is attacking. She might be a calibration center. You react to the surface and miss the deeper pattern. Nietzsche would ask you to bless what you cannot change entirely. Some women will always test, to feel a living edge there. They push time, flirt online, and challenge your views in conversation. Not because they crave chaos, but because life still seeks strength. Masculine sovereignty accepts this testing as part of the terrain. Look at your own desire in these dating dynamics honestly again. You are drawn to people who stand where they believe deeply. You lose interest when someone folds at the slightest push? Why expect her instincts to be built differently from yours? You think every test means she is wrong by default. Often, it means you spoke softly or never enforced boundaries. Your response windows screamed scarcity, while your words promised strength. The mirror is cruel, but it is not personal punishment. You are invited to clarify, not to curse her gender. Write one line on paper before you reply again next. Her tests are information, not a verdict. Read it slowly inside. Place it where you see it before calls, messages, and dates. When you see her as weather, not war, you are free. Free to choose a higher mission than fully chasing comfort. Choose. Nietzsche's higher type does not beg for softer weather. He asks to become harder steel in the same climate. You are not meant to dodge pressure, only reshape under it. You carry tests like weight that could build your frame. Tests in dating dynamics are still the forge around your throne. Look at the man you are when no one pulls. In this attention economy, your habits define your kingship. If dating dynamics vanished, would your mission still stand? You thought masculinity meant never being tested at all. It is becoming the man for whom tests change nothing. Nietzsche spent his life carving a voice that would not fold. Not for critics, not for trends, not for affection. You trade your standards for warmth whenever she frowns slightly. You trade masculine sovereignty for easing her discomfort for a night. You mistake compliance for kindness and boundaries for lack of love. The man who can walk does not threaten, he prepares. His response windows follow his life, not his fear. In dating dynamics, his willingness to leave anchors his value. He can love her deeply and still guard his throne. You thought love meant comfort. Now it means respect for your standard. Here is your mission for the next 72 hours. Choose one uncomfortable boundary with a woman in your world, or decline one offer that quietly violates rules you live by. Enforce it once, without drama, without a speech, then watch. Journal 24 hours later about how your spine feels. Next time she tests you, remember, you're not here for peace. You're here to keep your standard. Boundaries in dating dynamics outlast every spike of emotion online. Standard.